Good morning, bonjour, comment ça va? Et toi? Ça va très bien. Ni hao, hola, ohio, bienvenue, wan ying, bienvenidos, yokoso, and welcome. Welcome to another exciting episode of Gem Hunter Stories. My name is Barry B. Mixon, and I am a gemological storyteller. And each and every week, I get the unique and honorable pleasure of taking you on a journey to places you've never been before, to hear stories you've never heard before. Each week, I get to take you on a mental, physical, and spiritual adventure into the art, science, history, and magic of gemstones, precious metals, and fine jewelry. And because I know the powers of stories, because I know what stories and what once upon a time can do to a person, I have absolute faith and confidence that somewhere along the line, somewhere along this journey that you and I will take together, you will hear a story that will move you, a story that will make you look at the world in a different place, in a different way. And my job each and every week is to create a sound that resonates inside of you, a sound that will help you begin to hear the music that's inside of your heart and inside of your mind. And my hope is that you take that sound and you use it as a template, as a bridge, as an inception point to get you started, to get you moving along your journey of discovering the value of your own stories. When I started thinking about the theme that we're going to talk about for the rest of this month, new beginnings, I started thinking about all the things that's going on around the world. You know, we talk about COVID-19 and the number of infections. We're up to something like 855,000 people have died due to COVID. Businesses are closed. We're talking about another wave due to Omicron, and airplanes. 5G is coming into fruition. Actually, the beginning of 5G starts tomorrow, so airlines are concerned whether planes can land and take off. A lot of things are going on in the world, and the word that came to my mind when I started thinking about what I was going to talk about in this show was the word adaptation. The adaptation. See, the thing about gemstones that's so amazing is that you can learn so much from gemstones. Now, I understand that gemstones are, for the most part, inorganic substances, and we are organic substances. We are living. But the basic structure, the basic concepts of gemstones can apply to you. You can use those things to move along in your life or to get you to see your life in a different way, because when you think about it, we are molecular structures and gemstones are molecular structures. So that's what we get a chance to do when we're talking about gemstones. And when I started thinking about gemstones, I started thinking about the word again, adaptation. Adaptation is when Webster's defines adaptation as a change in the structure, the function, or form that improves the chance or the chances of survival for a plant or an animal within a given environment. That's what adaptation is. So when you look at garnet, I want you to begin to understand, and guess again, this is going to be a deep show. So you need to get a pencil and a piece of paper, because this is going to be a really deep show. When you talk about gemstones, what you're really talking about is structures that have come together because of just circumstances, that there's certain elements that happen to be within the area together, and those elements came together to make a certain type of gemstone. And when you look at garnet, you have to understand that garnet is really a very incredible gemstone because of its ability to adapt. The structures that it has, the chemical composition of a garnet is the same and it's different at the same time. Like all of us, we are all human beings, but each and every one of us are different. We all have arms and legs, and I mean, for the most part, if we're blessed enough to come out with 2 arms, 2 legs, eyes, ears, nose, things like this. So there's a basic structure that we as human beings have. Same thing with gemstones. All gemstones have a basic structure, but what makes garnet really unique is it's adaptable. It can exist in a variety of different environments. So when that definition says a change in structure or function or form that improves the chance of survival, well, gemstones don't have to survive. It's basically a gemstone's opportunity to exist as a gemstone. So it takes the things around it and becomes that gemstone that we value so much. So these are all garnets. These are different types of garnets. Look at the molecular structure of this garnet. Look at the box. That's what it looks like in nature. That's andesite. This is what it looks like. These pictures I took when I was in France at the Musée Mineralogie. I literally, some of you saw my Facebook live post. I had access to the whole entire museum for hours. As an African-American, as a gemologist, once he found out what I did and how I was approaching, he just said, have at it. So literally, I was in this museum for hours looking at different gemstones, and these are some of the gemstones that I look at. So this is garnet. These are different varieties of garnet. And you can see in the rock down here at the bottom, when you look at the rock, basically what you're looking at is what's called the matrix. This is called the matrix of the gemstone. Here's the gemstone up here, and then you have the matrix of the gemstone itself. So these are different varieties of garnet. Okay, Uversite, Hessonite, Grossenite. Okay, so these are all garnets. So people who think that garnet is one color, I'm going to totally blow your mind today, because garnet is not only a wonderful gemstone, but garnet exemplifies the things that we're going to talk about today in regards to adaptation, the change, to being able to use the things that's all around you to become something more. What makes garnet really unique is that garnet, even though we say garnet as a gemstone, but garnet is really not a gemstone per se. It's not one type of gemstone. Garnet is a group. Okay, garnet is a group. So there's 2 separate groups in garnet. You have group 1, which consists of XAl, which is aluminum, and we'll go now. Don't be afraid when you see the science of it. Don't be afraid of the science of it. I've broken this down to make it as at least visually simple as possible. So what I want you to understand is that garnet is not one type of gemstone. Garnet is a group of gemstones. That's 1. 2, garnet comes in 2 separate groups. You have on group 1, you have basically an X aluminum, and then you have a silicon. Okay, so Si0O, that's silicon. All right, so basically right now, what you see is that garnet on the group 1 is an aluminum silicate. Then group 2, you have calcium, which is in the place of the X, and that you have a Y, that's the variable, and then you have a silicon. So group 1, you have the variable, the X is the variable, the Y is a constant, which is aluminum, group 1. And group 2, the X is a constant, which is normally calcium, and then you have the Y, which is the variable. So what you have to understand about garnet, one of the similarities about garnet is that garnet, even though it may be different, and I'll show you the different colors and things like this, the basic structure is very similar. So again, like I said, you have garnet, you have the X, which is the variable, and then you have the Y is a variable in group 2. The variable in the X can be either, it can be calcium, it could be magnesium, it could be iron, or it could be manganese. That's what the Ca, calcium, Mg, manganese, iron, Fe2 plus. We don't have to get deep into that, but it's a different isotope of iron, and then manganese, Mn. And then you have the calcium group, the calcium group 2. In the calcium group 2, the Y, which is the variable, is an aluminum, a different type of iron, iron 3 plus, a manganese 3 plus, and a vanadium, which is the V, and then you have manganese. So what I want you to get out of this is that we have 2 separate structures that are very similar. Structure 1, group 1, you have a variable and a constant, and then everything else the same. Group 2, you have a constant and then a variable, and everything else is the same. So when we talk about garnet, what we're talking about is a structure that is called isomorphic. Isomorphic is something that has a similar structure, but it's different. So when I started thinking about isomorphic and how I get you to understand that, I want you to think of those of you who have sisters. You can have, or people who have daughters. You know, you can have daughters, same mother, same father, same house, same food, everything else, and yet they can be radically different. That's isomorphic. You know that they're your child. Even though sometimes you say, God, is that really my child? I think about my niece sometimes, Gianna. She's not my child, but sometimes I think, really? Isomorphic. Even though her brother is different, same mom, same dad, but they're different. That's isomorphic. So, and then when you take that understanding and understand that garnet, the thing that garnet is not like every other gemstone. Garnet is found throughout the world. Is found in, going back to your what is that, 7th grade science. Remember, you had the three rock types. You had metamorphic rock, right? Remember, that's the rock that is changed because of heat. You have the igneous rock, or heat and pressure. You have the igneous rock, which is the lava, the rocks that come from lava flows, the heat, that's igneous rocks. And then you have the sedimentary rocks, whereas you have rocks that are layered, okay, because layer after layer. So garnet can be found in all 3 types of rocks that are found on Earth. So again, analogy between us and garnet. Humans are found everywhere, but of course we know that humans are different everywhere, right? You have people who are different, even within, well, again, families. We have different cultures, we have different races, but we are all a human race. So garnet, to talk about garnet being a group, think of it in the same way you would think about human beings being a group, being a species. In fact, that's what it's called. In gemology, gemstones are called species. Okay, so now here's a little fun fact. And as I told you the last time, when every time I do this show, this is literally an adventure for not only for you, but for myself. So what I didn't know was that this guy's named Henry, and I talked about it last week. I wanted to show him, not sideways, Henry Hudson Barton. Henry Hudson Barton was a paper manufacturer in New York, and he was going around the Adirondack Mountains, and he discovered, not him, but his boys, his employees, found these garnets right in the Adirondack Mountains. It's called Gore Mountain in the Adirondack Mountain Range in New York City, or in New York State. So he created a mine from that. 1878 was when he created the Barton Mine, which still exists today. The Barton Mine is today the world leader in garnet production. Most of your high quality garnets come from New York, which again, I had no idea. I'm from New York. I had no idea. Now, I knew that garnet was the official gemstone for New York State, but I didn't understand why. So in 1878, Mr. Barton, I love his name, I love his mustache, you know, Henry Hudson, but that's that style. I'm working with that. That works for me. Henry Hudson Barton created the Barton Mines. So he created this. This is his seal. This is his seal, the Barton Mines. This is his seal. Let me show you. Hold on. Let me just get back to it. So this is the seal of the Barton Mine. All right. This is some of the places. You know, I was there. I was there. You didn't see me. This is some of the hard work you have to do to get garnet. All right. Look at that. Obviously, when I was there back in the 1800s, we didn't have machinery like that. You know, the brothers had to do it by hand. But now they have modern equipment, things like this. So this is how you dig for garnet. So within all these rocks that you see are garnet, high quality garnet coming from the Barton Mine. So now, here's some fun facts about garnet. As I said, the official state gemstone for New York. It was literally designated the official gemstone of New York in 1969. So I was living in New York. I remember, that's a name, a blast from the past. Governor Nelson Rockefeller. I haven't heard that name in such a long time. 1969, he dedicated the Barton Mines in New York garnet to be the official gemstone of New York State. Now, not to be confused, and some people are confused about this, garnet is the official gemstone of New York. The Herkimer diamond, which is actually becoming really more popular. In fact, I just read in Wall Street Journal where people are literally going to the mine and finding Herkimer diamonds in New York, and they're selling them for a lot of money. Herkimer diamonds are not actually diamonds, they're actually quartz, but because what they're called is double terminated, and the way they're designed, they come out of the ground kind of looking just like the way you would expect diamonds to look. And we'll do another show on Herkimer diamonds, because Herkimer diamonds, from a metaphysical point of view, is an extremely important diamond. When you're doing metaphysical work, using gemstones, oftentimes a practitioner will use a Herkimer diamond, and that's part of their popularity. So those are the fun facts. Garnet is the official gemstone of New York. It started in 1969. Again, the Barton Mines is the premier mine, garnet mine in the world, not just in New York, in the world. It's the largest and the only family-owned mine in the United States. So now what I want you to do is look at this picture, because this is what most people think that garnets look like. Most people think that garnet is that beautiful reddish color. And that's true. That is one level of garnet, but garnet actually comes in a variety of different colors. Yellows and greens and orange and black and greens and purples and pinks. There's a variety of different colors that garnet comes in. And a lot of people don't know it. A lot of people whose birthstones is January do not know that they have such a wide variety of gemstones that they can choose from that's within their gemstone. So here's the green variety, and we'll talk about that. Okay. In fact, this is one of my favorite gemstones. As far as green, I like this. I won't tell you the name right now, keep it as a little surprise, but this is the green variety of garnet. Here's a pink garnet. Here is a different level of red garnet. And then there are some garnets that are what's also called color change. So blue garnet is very rare, but some of the blue garnets can do what's called color change. So depending on the light, and we talked about that, we had several classes on how some gemstones change based on the type of light they're in. So if it's indoor light, if it's outdoor light, they will change, just like we talked about Alexandrite. So let's talk about garnet. Let's go through the whole group together and see the differences in the similarities. So we'll deal with group 1 first. All right. So again, this is what most people think about when they think of garnet. All right, this beautiful, what makes garnets really special is garnet has a hardness of 6.5 to 7.5. 10 is diamond. Remember, we got 0. 0 is like talcum powder. 1, 2 is talcum powder, very soft. Garnet is considered a pretty good gemstone in terms of hardness. Actually, it's hard and it's tough. Remember, we talked about that before, where people always say to me, oh, I want to be, you see it all the time. In fact, I had to talk to Barbara about this when Barbara was first starting the Diamond Factor. And I said to her that diamonds, yes, diamonds are the hardest substance known to man, but diamonds are not the toughest, meaning that diamonds can cleave. You can hit a diamond and it'll break. Not so much with garnet. Garnet has a pretty good toughness. In fact, that's what garnet is sold for. If it's not a gemstone, it's usually used for its abrasive quality. So a lot of the things that you see that are so much sandpaper or different things are impregnated with garnet. A lot of the drilling equipment that you see when the guys are cutting the streets, they're impregnated with garnets. So garnet is a very effective and very low cost abrasive mineral. So we're going to deal with group 1. And as I say, as you see, group 1, you got the X is a variable, aluminum, and then silicate. You guys are going to be chemists after we all said and done. So we have the variable, then we have the constant, which is aluminum, and then we have silicon oxide. And there's 3 types in group number 1. You have pyro, you have Almondine, and you have spiratine. All right. So that's what we're talking about. This is what most people know when they think about garnet. So group number 1. The X is a variable. So literally, this is the most well-known garnet. If you ask the person on the street, what's a garnet look like? This is what they'll tell you it looks like. It's the reddish colored gemstone. Some people love it, some people don't like it, but there's now, once you find out how many varieties, I think you'll begin to love garnet. Purplish, red to purplish color because of either the iron that gives it that color or the chromium. And we remember that because long time ago, when I was talking about ruby, definitely in July, when we talk about ruby, I told you that ruby is an aluminum oxide, and what makes red, gives ruby that red color, is chromium. So this garnet, pyro, has chromium in it that gives it, in the combination of chromium and iron, that gives it that unique red color. Not unique, but that beautiful red color. The thing about garnet, from a metaphysical point of view, is that garnet should be the official gemstone of the book that I always tell you about. You know, I have it right here, the As a Man Thinketh book, because what garnet is, it's literally a gemstone that manifests whatever your thoughts are. So garnet is the gemstone it's a once upon a time gemstone. Literally, things that you manifest as a man think of. That's what garnet should, when you think of garnet, that's what I want you to think of, because garnet has one of the things that makes garnet special from a metaphysical point of view is that garnet, the energy of garnet, the metaphysics of garnet allows you to manifest whatever you think of. Think about that. A gemstone that if you wear that gemstone, and it's for all the colors, different variations of that, but the primary principle property metaphysically of garnet is the fact that it can manifest your creative imagination. Whatever you think about, you bring about. As a man thinketh, very soon so altered has his mind become that the workshop can no longer hold him. If that person is wearing garnet, that process will take place even quicker. So this is pyro, the reddish color. Now there's different varieties of pyro. Some people know pyro in its other form. I'll come back to that. In its other form, which is called rhodonite. Rhodonite, which comes from the Greek word rhodon, which means pink, or rose actually, is the pink variety of that. Very popular, very, I won't say, it is rare. It is rare, good quality. Rhodonite is quality. So look at the beauty of that gemstone. So those of you who like more of a pinkish variety of red would go with this red gemstone versus pyro. So that's one. In group one, that's number one. Pyro is one of the first gemstones of the three. Then we have what's called Almondine. Almondine garnet, again, and I put the structure there to let you know that even though we're looking at something that is different, has a different color, this one is more brownish red, more purplish red. So this is Amundine. Almondine, which I've always liked the name of that, Almondine gemstone. So this is a very old gemstone. Not saying garnets are not old in this, but as far as the knowledge of garnet, people have found Almondine buried within Egyptian mummy sarcophaguses or coffins. Almond garnet has been found in every culture. Again, Egyptians, the Syrians, the Babylonians. A lot of people throughout cultures use garnet. Asian cultures, Middle Eastern cultures, South American cultures had garnet in their religion, in their whole way of looking at it. So the thing that makes garnet very special, as I told you last week, garnet is the gemstone for the second wedding anniversary. And the reason for that is because garnet is, one of the attributes of garnet is truth and compassion and strength and security, and a lot of the same things that we would all want in our relationships. The passion, the garnet is a gemstone of love. So when you give someone a garnet, especially the second anniversary, I think a 22nd wedding anniversary, what you are giving is a gemstone of love. It's red. So anything that's red, most of the gemstones that are red are related to blood, passion, heart. So that's where the similarities between red stones come in, where as far as rubies, whether it be garnet, tourmaline, things of this. But this is what garnet has. So garnet is connected to the first chakra. So our base, garnet gives you that sense of belonging, sense of foundation. So it's a wonderful, there's a reason why it is the gemstone for January, because again, we're talking about new beginnings, new directions that we're going to take. And oftentimes, as I say each week, if you're going to have a direction in your life, you have to know where you are. You have to know who you are before you can get started, or at least have an idea which direction that you want to take. So garnet, because it has metaphysical properties of literally manifestation, garnet would be a wonderful gemstone for you to have to wear in order to help that process along. So this is Amundi. Then we have Smaragdite. Smaragdite, again, look at the same chemical composition. But this is, even though it has a different, same chemical composition, here is a different color. And this gemstone, I think this is yellowish orange. I've seen it really just beautiful, bright orange. And it's a absolutely wonderful gemstone. It can go all the way to red, though. It can go all the way in red, depending on what chemicals is in it. How much iron does it have in it? How much chromium does it have in it? How much magnesium does it have in it? So what garnet does, at least a spartite garnet does, it basically stimulates. It stimulates the creative abilities. So garnet can be used. You might wear this color garnet to get you started on your journey. If you're an artist and you're going through writer's block, or you're a YouTube content creator and you're thinking, what am I going to talk about next? I might want to have garnet. So at least the spartite garnet, because that's what this type of garnet does. It basically maximizes the things that you're experiencing. So your new job, your new love affair, your new ideas, all these things are manifested by wearing this type of garnet, a spartite garnet. So it's what I want you to do is to start to think about how these gemstones, what these gemstones mean and how they relate to you. Because as I've told you many, many times, when you have a spartite garnet in your hand, the powers are not going to just come to you. It's not like picking up a loaf of bread and you have white bread and you have wheat bread and you know, okay, let me get the wheat bread, and you expect the wheat bread to have a different taste. No, garnet, all the gemstones, it's about belief. That's the real magic. That's the real magic of all the gemstones. Or really, if anything, do you believe it has that characteristic? Do you believe it has that power? And we'll talk more about that when we get through our commercial and get on the other side. We're back. When I last saw you, I was talking about believing. And think about how powerful it is, because that is going to be a theme throughout every show. You have to believe that it has that power. You have to believe that you have that power. If you're starting a new business, you have to believe that business is going to be successful. When you, as I have told you before, I teach science and history all around the world. And every time, and every teacher that's watching this program understands, when you write up your lesson plan, you're basically creating something that you hope can excite your audience, can excite the kids, where the kids will leave your classroom saying, wow, I didn't know that. It does happen, ladies and gentlemen. It really does. I know teachers are going through hell right now, but there are every teacher that you know, or if you're a teacher, you know that there's been those moments where it's just like, voila, the kids just get it. So, but where does that begin? That begins with a belief. You have to believe that's going to happen. That lab experiment or that book, that paragraph that you're reading, your job as a teacher is to get kids to see, your students to understand and believe in what you're saying. And believe, not only believe what you're saying, but also see themselves in the story that you're telling. That's why all this comes together, at least for me. That all these things, gemstones are basically a microcosm of what we do every day. So if you have a spartite garnet, and again, throughout history, throughout the whole history of mankind, royalty wore garnet all the time. Kings and queens. In fact, during the 16th, 17th, 18th centuries, garnet was the gemstone. A lot of people wore garnet because of the metaphysical powers, not only just the beauty of it, because the thing about garnet that's really special is that garnet has what's called a high refractive index. It basically refracts light in a very powerful and brilliant way. So garnet has the power of scintillation that you actually see in diamonds, that fire, that brilliance that you know that you love in diamonds. That's what garnet has. So one of the things, now on top of the metaphysical aspects of it, there was the brilliance of that gemstone. So if you're looking for a gemstone that's going to help you create, that's going to inspire you, then this gemstone, the Spartite garnet, would be the one you use. So, and I wanted to show you this picture just to show the brilliance in the light. Look at the light. Look at the way the light is hitting the facets. And when you're wearing garnet, that's what you see. You see that beautiful color radiating through because of the molecular structure, the way it interacts with the light creates that brilliance. Okay, so that's group number one. All right, those are the 3 gemstones we have for group number 1, 3 garnets. Now we're going to deal with the other group, group 2. Group 2 is called garnet grossular. There's 3 types. And now this has a different molecular structure. Remember, this one has where the X is now the constant and the Y is a variable. Still with the silicon at this silicate at the end, silicon oxide at the end. So this is basically a calcium silicate, and then depends on what goes in it, dictates what color it is. Now take a second to think about that. Think about the analogy about that. So what I said was that this is the basic molecular structure of garnet. And we can say to any gemstone, but we're talking about garnet right now. And what you see when you look at that gemstone is the manifestation of not only just the structure, but what was in it. What did you put in it that ultimately manifests in the color that you see? No different than someone. You have 2 people. You can have someone born in the worst conditions. And we have hundreds and hundreds of stories of people who were born in the worst conditions, was homeless, was go through all kinds of abusive relationships, abusive household, things of this, but they went to college, they went to school, they learned. So those things that was in it, again, new beginnings. What are the things that you're going to put within your molecular structure that's going to make you different? What are you going to do that's going to make you different within who you are as a person? So that's, again, the similarities, because again, garnet can't become anything else. Once that is what it is, if it's hessonite, and I'll show you what hessonite looks like. If it's hessonite, that's what it is. Unless we do some treatment, which is just not a whole lot of treatments for garnet as far as just imitations. It's ubiquitous. You find it all over. Although it's rare, but you do find it. So people don't really do a lot of synthetics of garnet. Garnet is either just garnet or you use a gemstone and say it's garnet. So again, how does that relate to you? Who are you? Who you are as a person is a manifestation of the things that you put inside of yourself. If your new beginnings consisted of this year, I'm going to lose weight, then you have an expectation of losing weight, and your expectation of losing weight means that come July or June or whenever, you're going to manifest a firmer body, a sexier body, or a body that is in shape. If you're eating right, I'm thinking about my good friend Stephanie. Stephanie is always on Facebook talking about different things that she's eating, and she's on this whole brand new nutrition dense food that she got. And when she got it, when she was talking about getting it, that was when she was beginning to conceptualize what does she want out of that. So she knew that she had to put something inside of her body in order to manifest the good health that she wanted. So when you look at this gemstone, this group 2, garnet group 2, this is the molecular structure, is basically a calcium silicate, and depending on what we put inside of it, manifests as the color. So first one, you got hessonite. Hessonite color range is from brownish yellow to brownish red. It could be also an orange color. That's why as a gemologist, as an appraiser, my job is to figure out, is this actually a sporotite or is it hessonite? And there's different things, and I won't bore you guys. Maybe we'll talk about another show with this, the different RI factors and things of this that shows you the difference in that, or the using the spectrum, what elements in it, because again, with the group 1, we talk about aluminum silicate versus this is calcium silicate. So the way the light, what elements that are absorbed and what's reflected, I can say that word, is different. So that's how I tell the difference. But the same thing goes for people. You can have 2 people that go to the same school. You can go to the exact same school. Somebody's a D student, somebody's an A student. Same class. What makes them different? When with filling out your application, or you're filling out you're going to an interview, what you have to do for the interviewer is tell them what is the difference between you and every other person that they're going to see that day. You have to not only be the gemstone, but you also have to be the appraiser. You have to let them know who you are, because all they see is, okay, Garnet. What's the next applicant? Garnet. All right, Barry B. Mixon, Garnet. Yeah, okay, great. And if he thinks or she thinks that a Garnet, because you said Garnet, and she is thinking that I should be a red color, well, that's not who I am. I'm a hessonite. I'm hessonite. I'm brownish red. I can be orange. Okay. What I do is I'm a healer of all limitations on a physical level. All limitations on a physical level, whether it be my health or wealth. That's what hessonite does. So if you're wearing that gemstone, hessonite, you are wearing that gemstone because you have the expectation. You know what's different about you. You understand your story. So therefore you understand your what? Your value. Your value. Some of you are getting it. Some of you are getting, I can see some of you, even through this, some of you are shaking your head like, yeah, I got this. No different. The same way, if I'm appraising a gemstone, I have to look at what is it and how does it relate to everything else? What's the difference? What is the story? And once I figure out that story, then I can appraise it. Then I can figure out what is the value. So this is hessonite. One of the things that hessonite does, it helps to overcome, think about how deep this is, helps to overcome scarcity thinking and lack of self-worth. I can't tell you how many years I wish I had this gemstone before I knew what this gemstone could do, because that's why I was homeless. I was homeless because of my sense of self-worth. As I told you many, many times, I thought my name was everything other than Barry for years. I thought I was a rock. I didn't realize who I was. And so my self-worth was nothing. I didn't know my value. I didn't know my story, so therefore I didn't know my value. So if you're looking at a gemstone, in order for you to figure out what that is, You have to understand, what is it made out of? What's in it that makes it special? So this is hessonite. Beautiful gemstone. Love hessonite. I love just the name of it, hessonite. Now we're coming to my favorite gem. One of my favorite gemstones is Tsavorite Garnet. Tsavorite Garnet. I love Tsavorite. To me, I think Tsavorite Garnet to me is even better than emerald, because of emerald is no offense to emerald. Emerald is a breathtaking gemstone. Again, my girl Cleopatra, that was one of her favorite gemstones. Okay, Julius Caesar went crazy for Cleopatra because she owned emerald mines. Emeralds, as I told you in an episode long time ago, last year, I told you that emeralds, diamonds are the gemstone today. For the last 200 years, it's been about diamonds. But for the rest of history before that, it was emerald. But the thing about emerald doesn't have the same brilliance as a Tsavorite Garnet. Tsavorite Garnets are rare because they pretty much, they come from different places, but the good quality Tsavorite Garnet comes from Tanzania, just like Tanzanite. All right, it's found literally right on the border of Tanzania and Kenya. Again, what's sitting there? A huge mountain, Mount Kilimanjaro, right there. All right. What makes Tsavorite Garnet, that gives it that green color, is what? Palladium and chromium. Same things that make emerald an emerald. Same thing that makes tourmaline, green tourmaline, those elements in it. So again, you have people, let's put it back to people. You have someone who was born in New York City, and you have someone who was born on the farms in, I don't know, Omaha, Nebraska, you know, or let's say North Dakota, population 700. Versus population New York City, 9 million people. But both people went to Harvard. Both examples went to the same school, or they went to had similar experiences. So based on what was put inside of them, manifest into something incredible. Think about yourself. What things are you going to have inside of you that's going to manifest into something incredible, like a Tsavorite Garnet? Tsavorite Garnet is the gemstone of prosperity, all aspects of prosperity: financial, creative, emotional, artistic, physical. All those things happen wearing Tsavorite Garnet, which is very similar to some of the things or some of the properties that you find in emerald, but it's just done in a different way. Tsavorite Garnet used to be found in 40 mines all over Africa, but now because Tiffany got a hold of it and promoted Tsavorite Garnet, just like they did with Tanzanite. They created this whole mystique about Tsavorite Garnet. So now out of 40 mines, now Tsavorite Garnet is found pretty much in 4 mines where there's quality Tsavorite Garnet. So this is Tsavorite Garnet. And again, I have to go back, look at the molecular structure. You've seen this before. You've seen this before. Same molecular structure, but what's inside of it is what's different. And some of you are going to be thinking about that. Who are you? Look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself the question, what is inside of you that makes you different than everybody else? The value of your story. Next, we have Hydroglycer Garnet. Beautiful gemstone, but it's beautiful in a different way. It's more of an opaque gemstone. You got green, brown, yellow, green, pink, and brown glycer. So again, chromium, same thing that makes an emerald green, is what makes this garnet green. And this one, metaphysically, it basically gives you an understanding that abundance is available. Some of us, and I talked about this last week, sometimes you have everything you want right in front of you, right in front of you. And I'll use me for an example. I've been studying this stuff for 18, now 19 years. If you had asked me 2 weeks ago about Hydroglycer Garnet, I'd been like, yeah, okay, nothing to it. I didn't realize the history of it. I didn't understand what it does. Again, to understand the abundance of all things. That times when I thought that I didn't have, times when I thought I was lacking money or love or material things, this gemstone is a reminder of the abundance that we have. And sometimes that's what all we need. We need to just understand what we need in our lives. It's already there. And I put it on Facebook post. Here is how many men go out there. You read about it all the time. I'm thinking of Kanye West, and they had some new pictures of Kim Kardashian. And I'm thinking, and Kanye West supposedly sang a song when he was talking about how he had an affair with some singer. And I'm thinking, what were you thinking? What exactly were you thinking where you had a beautiful gemstone right at home, and you went somewhere else? You went somewhere else for something else sparkly when you had everything that you wanted at home. You just didn't understand the abundance of what we have. And all of us do that. We get into jobs, we get into situations. You remember when all you wanted was a big wheel? Now I want a BMW M3. Okay. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But when you understand all that you have right now, the old adage, think about all the people who don't have. That's what this gemstone is. This gemstone is a reminder of all the things that you have in your life. What are you going to do with it? My favorite expression is, what's in your wallet? What are you going to do with what you have? That the music I talk about in the beginning of the show, the music inside of you, what are you going to do with your music, your sound? That's what this gemstone does. It's a reminder of that. Then we have the last group or another group, which is the demontoid, or this is androsite. Androsite comes in different gemstones, comes in different varieties. So we have demontoid, we have mineralite, and then we have topaznite. All right, so we'll just go over just quickly. Again, demontoid, very pretty gemstone, green, just like the savorite, but different. It's different. It has different chemical compositions. Not different chemical compositions. The thing that's in it is slightly different, though it gives it a different look. Think about ladies, think about wearing the same dress. You got the same dress as your girlfriend has that same dress, but the way you look in it is different than the way she looks in that dress. Gemstones are just like that. Demontoid comes from comes from the word demont, the Dutch word demont. That's why diamonds are also called diamantair or diamant. So basically, it talks about brilliance. As I said before, the highest dispersion, meaning when light hits this gemstone, it disperses more than any other gemstone, including diamonds. And what's the secret ingredient of this? You already got it. Chromium. Chromium is what makes this gemstone green. Then we have, which I didn't, again, another gemstone, didn't think anything of it. Got a lot of comments from people talking about how much they like this gemstone. The black androsite garnet or the melanite garnet. It's also called a titanium garnet because titanium, again, a metal element, when you put that in this garnet, it gives it that structure, it gives it that extra strength. Also, again, the secret ingredient of this is calcium. Same calcium that we drink in milk is what gives that gemstone that color. It gives it that black color, that in titanium together gives it that black color. Beautiful. So imagine not just a dull black, like let's say opal, like a black coral, just that dull color, beautiful, but it's kind of it's a karma color, where this is bright. This is that shiny, beautiful black, like that black a car, a black shiny black BMW. That's what this gemstone does because of titanium and calcium being put together is what gives that gemstone that color. Then you have topazite. Reason to call that because it looks like topaz. Look at it. It looks just like topaz. So it's a combination of iron in the titanium that gives it that, combined with the calcium, that gives it that special color, that special orange color. Again, the whole time you should be thinking about how many things that's inside of you and what does that manifest? What does that manifest in who you are as a person? Last one we have is Uversite, and I just put Uversite is the stone for overcoming poverty consciousness. Thinking as a man thinking, if you think you're poor, then you're poor. If you think that you don't have, you think you can't succeed, then you don't. Whatever you believe you are, that's what you become. So this gemstone basically helps you develop, overcome that consciousness, that lack of consciousness, that poverty consciousness. And this gemstone basically comes in different varieties, comes in a green variety, but also comes in a very rare variety, which is the color change. So this gemstone has a blue variety by itself, very rare, but also sometimes the blue variety can change colors, can change into different colors, not different color, goes from a blue to a green in quality, in color. This is the gemstone. This variety of garnet brings you peace and contentment, knowledge, love, power, quality. Again, the gemstone for the second year of marriage. All those things, again, think about it, how important that would be in your marriage overall, but certainly when you're just starting your new beginning. So, I'm looking at the time. I hope you enjoyed today. Today was, I know I packed in a lot. That's why I hope the pictures and the words, seeing it on. This is what we're going to be doing every week now because it's going to start getting deep. And I want you to be able to understand it and see the words and see the pictures more clearly than just having it behind me, because I really want you to get the importance of not only just stories, but understanding how your story directly relates to the value of who you are. So again, my name is Barry B. Mixon, and I am a gemological storyteller. And each week, I hope that you take time in your life to discover the value of your own stories. Next week, we'll be talking about a new aspect of new beginnings, and we're talking about Maximilian I. Everything you know about knights came from this guy. But until then, au revoir, Atatella. See you soon. See you later. Bye-bye.